How does Karl get ranking on page 1 of Google? How'd you first get into SEO?
Just used to sit there and churn through millions of links, and it used to just rank.
So what part of SEO actually did you find interesting about?
Seeing the sort of green arrows and, you hitting number one and knowing that you did it, that's pretty cool. I was introduced to a guy from my dad who said he did SEO, and we had no idea what that was. That was like a thing. It is hard, it's intense. Searching kind of started when I was heavily involved with the gambling business. We were seeing like pretty good returns.
Karl is a seasoned SEO consultant and digital marketing expert with over 18 years of experience. He specializes in SEO, technical SEO, link building, and paid advertising. He has a proven track record in helping businesses grow and improve online visibility. His approach includes developing tailored growth strategies, performance optimization, and digital PR. Please welcome the founder of Searcheroo, Karl Hudson. Karl, my man, welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Good. Everyone, just give a round of applause.
That was good intro.
For sure. Anything for my guest here. And Karl, I'm going to go straight right into it. This is the first question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. In 1 minute or less, how does Karl get ranking on page 1 of Google?
Links and content, there we go. No, solid team effort generally. Building the processes in place and then just sticking with the process that you develop, and then in time it just seems to work, hopefully.
Love it. Our first knowledge bomb of today. Hold on, let me rewind this real quick. Take us way back to 18 years ago. How'd you first get into SEO?
I thought something was happening. I was just seeing loads of stuff on the screen. Sorry. I got into SEO just helping parents. Basically, they were very much self-employed, sort of life coaching, NLP, a neurolinguistic programming, that sort of stuff, hypnotherapy, and they just didn't. They spent a fortune on websites and didn't really ever get any results from them. And kind of got into it from there. Just sort of started on forums, stuff like that, and then learned. Different various backlinking tools, Rumor, loads of different ones, Scrapebox at the time, stuff like this. And many, when all of that used to work, I used to have like a backlinking computer in the back of the house, and it just used to sit there and churn through millions of links, and it used to just rank. And obviously Penguin came out later on. So
Love that. So what part of SEO actually did you find interesting about, and that made you get you more into it?
I think it was more just the results from helping the parents, obviously seeing them then obviously benefiting from that. That was quite a pleasant, nice to see. Obviously also seeing those, try not to get addicted to it. Once you've seen it quite a few times, you get less addicted to it, but it's seeing the sort of green arrows and, you hitting number one and knowing that you did it. That's pretty cool. It's still, to this day, I get a bit of a buzz out of that. But you probably should try and ease off that. Them dopamine hits aren't always great. But that's primarily the reason.
Love that. So actually, how'd you actually learn SEO? I know you actually mentioned some few tools that are still, I believe, around. Like you mentioned Scrapebox, Rumor. I mean, these are actually kind of like considered like black hat tools. I mean, how'd you actually learn it and even utilize these tools?
So initially, I would probably say I started off very black hat approach. I was on all of the different forums at the time, Warrior Forum, all of that. That probably still existed. I don't really go on it anymore. But you kind of learn and just by reading what people are saying and thinking, I'll give it a go, see if that works. And then in time, it was actually primarily when you could argue I was doing SEO at that time. It was more like keyword stuff and stuff like that. You didn't have to do SEO as we know it today. It was very much more of a spammy approach. Then sort of Penguin hit, and that's kind of when I was like, right, you know what, I actually quite enjoy this as a tool. I probably need to stop doing less spammy stuff and actually learn, what it is. It's an algorithm at the end of the day, and that's kind of the approach I made and took.
Love that. So, do you have any resources that you go to? Any person you followed back in that time?
So when I very, very first started, I was introduced to a guy from my dad who said he did SEO, and we had no idea what that was. That was like a thing. He was called Dave, a guy called Dave, right? But he was actually called Dave, this guy. And he was quite big on, he was on like Six. I don't know if anyone is from back in the day, but there was a software called Six Submitter. And that was like sick marketing and stuff like that. So he was one of the main guys on that. And he kind of just introduced me to different forums and just, like Black Hat World, Warrior Forum, all of those sort of things. And that's kind of the resources that I then took. And then down the line, when your likes of like Alex Becker, and I'm very much a course nerd. So when all these courses start coming out, I always buy them anyway, because you never know what processes within your processes you can develop more by, looking at someone else's process and going, oh, this could work quite nicely within mine, or it could help me develop further. So very much, Alex Becker, Backlinko by SEO That Works by Brian Dean, Detail.com, Greg Alsop's course. He was pretty cool. SEO Blueprint, I think. There's a many, obviously the most advanced course, and I'll say it right now, the most advanced course I've ever done is Corey's. That shit still blows my head right now. Like that, like if I want to fall asleep, I usually get Corey's course up and it'll knock us out very quickly. It's really good, but it is hard. It's intense.
Love that. Okay, so fast forward to today. I mean, like, how where are you at now? What are you doing now? Like, is it Searcheroo? Like, you're one of the founders of Searcheroo. Can you describe that journey, how that started?
Yeah, so Searcheroo kind of started when I was heavily involved with the gambling business. Okay. I've since obviously sold out of that now, and Searcheroo's kind of like part of the businesses that I now run. But I've got a few other businesses with James, my business partner, and a few other investments with him as well. And yes, they all very much stem around digital marketing. So we might be involved in a lot of like lead generation, but for local businesses, or we might be involved like digital PR. We're doing a lot more digital PR stuff nowadays, as is most people. Seeing great results from that. And then obviously AI, like we invested in another tool we invested in was auto blogging. So we're part investors in that, and seeing that grow and kind of develop based off what we've educated Webath off is fantastic to see. And the results we see day in, day out from our tools astounding, if I'm being honest. And that's kind of, that's what we're into now. What will I be into in the future? Who knows? I'm very much one of them, but it's one of the key problems that me and James have is we're both yes men. So someone's like, oh, I have this great idea. I'm like, why don't we give it a go? Let's see what happens. So yeah.
Love that. That's a perfect segue to our topic of today, because you said you were really successful in the casino niche, which is actually a tough niche to do, and there are a ton of tough niches out in to do SEO, and with this cannabis, adult, but even casino. I mean, I'm pretty sure like a lot of the tools that you're using, like all those like Scrapebox and all that stuff, actually came into help in these niches. So like, when starting an SEO project in the casino niche, what was the first steps that you take to analyze the market and understand like the competition?
So with the casino niche, this is a good story, to be fair. So I was very much out of SEO for a while because I was quite good in the pickup artistry niche and made a lot of money from it. So I kind of like, a friend got investment. It's going to sound bad. A friend got investment from a company. This investor also owned a gambling company. The gambling company was doing terrible. My friend basically introduced us into them and said, look, can you help them out? They're doing terrible at SEO. And I was kind of like, oh, don't I? And I'm like, right, okay, I've never been involved in gambling. I'll give it a go. I'll sort of dust off the sheets type thing. And then yeah, stepped into that. They were hemorrhaging money left, right, and center. They weren't ranking for anything. And I think within 3 months, like they started ranking really well. And
Oh.
the process that we kind of did at that time for that was, you. It sounds crazy, but at that time it was kind of just PBNs, very much quite heavy on PBNs, finding some decent PBN links, setting up our own PBNs, and then within 3 months we were seeing like pretty good returns, to the point that I then became a shareholder and things like that in the business. So yeah, they were pretty cool.
Nice, nice, man. Just 3 months. That's really, really good, especially in that a tough niche like that. So, like, let's start from the beginning, like keyword research, right? So, like, how did you approach keyword research for like casino sites?
Yeah, so most of my keyword research, if I'm being obviously, we also do paid ads. So paid ads,
Oh, okay,
if you don't do paid ads, you should do paid ads for keyword research because it very
okay.
quickly helps you to work out which keywords are going to convert.
Mm-hmm.
Very much of the opinion, go after the keywords that convert. Don't waste your time just looking in keyword research tools. Kind of spend the money to get the test data back, and that will dictate what way you should be going with your strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the approach we would do, and we were spending a lot. So that would very much like help us guide our approach. But when it came to like basic keyword research, let's say if it was a fresh site and we didn't have that data,
Mm-hmm.
we would typically just go in, see who's ranking top five, shove it into Ahrefs, grab all their ranking keywords, come up with like what we would back then class as a topical map, but
Okay.
it's not the same level as topical map as what Corey does.
Yeah.
That process has very much been redefined a few times since then. But yeah, like a basic core concept of, right, this is our main ranking keywords we want. What are the supporting keywords? What belongs on its own page? That was kind of the approach we did. And it was simple, but it was really effective. I think the one thing that we did well, early on, it became a lot harder down the line because of compliance and UK
Yeah.
GC issues and stuff like this. In the gambling niche, obviously, it's rife.
Mm-hmm.
So the gambling commission, that is, so the guys in charge who hand out fines, trust me.
Oh,
Um,
to websites.
so
It was like they'll hand it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Okay.
two companies, yes, big fines, big fines, and so they started getting more and more involved as the years went on,
Mm-hmm.
and very much like they would be looking at blog content, and if your blog content would mention like a chance of someone winning money could get you fined 40K.
Whoa. Wow.
If you at all mentioned someone was guaranteed to win,
Mm-hmm.
which is sometimes a case on certain games, there is a guarantee that you win, but not win your money back. It might be a smaller percentage. Again, fines. Like it started getting very, very ridiculous. And like, for instance, a lot of the slot games and stuff like that were very like, if you've played on slot games, there's a lot of like childish images, but obviously they're not for children. It's just like the little anime characters and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You weren't allowed to use any of their logos on the website, stuff like this, because the class is child friendly. So you had to remove all of those off. YouTube video reviews that we had at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
when we first got into it, we did loads of review content. And I think that was kind of, it wasn't really seen in the especially gambling UK scene, 7-8 years ago. There was a lot of affiliate sites that would have some reviews, but we very, very quickly went hard on reviews on the actual casino, and that kind of helped us, I think, a lot.
Love that, love that. So when you mentioned keyword research and like when you were talking about like paid ads and stuff like that, like how are you kind of like framing it when paid ads? Because I mean, I'm not. Isn't that also kind of regulated as well? Isn't that kind of like sometimes you can get like flagged that way
Yeah,
too?
but so we were as long as you've got a license in gambling, it's absolutely fine. So because we owned the casinos, we had a license, so it's absolutely fine. You are obviously later on, and this is another problem that happened. So later on down the line, they started segmenting user groups. So you'd only be able to target a small amount of gambling users. But
Yep, yep.
in the early days, that wasn't the case.
Got that, got that. And then you actually mentioned started mentioning the content, and you got. And I'm curious, did you ever get fined 40 grand, or did you know someone that
No.
did?
The most unlucky, well, we got a few warnings,
Okay.
but the most unlucky we were. So this wasn't a fine, but it feels very much that way. was we launched a casino. It was in development site. It was in a soft like dev, so soft launch. So it was live, but really the only people who knew about it were the guys in Malta who were developing it, and then our team. Somehow, someone registered on the casino and won 500,000 euros,
Whoa.
and we had to pay.
Really?
The site wasn't even live. It was like, well, it was soft.
What? Oh,
So
wow.
that was a nasty bill. That obviously, like, that basically made that website in the red for probably its first year, because obviously we'll have to pay that money off.
Wow,
So
that's crazy. So let's go back to the content now. So like, what types of content did you like prioritize in like casino websites? I'm curious. Like, can you give us some examples of the content that performed really
yeah,
well?
so like, some of the popular games are like fluffy favorites, slots. It's
What's that?
primarily slot games. So a lot of the users
Mm-hmm.
in the casino niche, you're always aiming to get people on slot games. That's why you're
Slot
making the
games.
money.
Okay. Okay.
Typically, like poker, stuff like that, you don't really make a lot of money on. And the card games, it's always, the slot games is where you're trying to collect the users.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got like Starburst, Fluffy Favorites, Rainbow Riches, Gonzo's Quest. You've got all these different games that we just used to rank really, really well for, and they would obviously bring in FTDs, which are first time depositors, which is what like the performance metric you'd base the casino off. So that was kind of the approach. It was never complicated. We never ever overcomplicated. We always did good internal links. We had a very nice I created a very good template where it was kind of like, the top 5 games, but it would rotate the anchor text on each review. So each of the top games would have various different anchors for internal linking purposes. And yeah, that just seemed to work really well.
Love that. Love that. And so, speaking of like internal linking, but I mean, that's like, let's get into on-page optimization. So, like, what specific like on-page techniques did you find most effective? Like, going after like the casino niche websites. I mean, other, like whether like that's just like whether it's headings, it's traditional stuff. I mean, like, were you still doing stuff that are doing now? Describe your on-page optimization process.
Yeah, so we very, very early on, so we developed I developed 2 processes. One was we had the main keywords, so like online slots, slot games, casino games, online casino, we pretty much ranked for all of those.
Wow.
But the main process for all of those were very early on, we would take note. So like once a month, we would take note of who's in the top 10, and we would analyze all of the mentions of this was all just manually done in spreadsheets. We would manually analyze even all of the mentions of certain keywords and words and phrases on the pages, and what percentages of the pages and amount of content that took up. Then from there, obviously you're going back a few years, obviously you can now use tools for all of this. So, your likes of Page Optimizer Pro, On Page, all of these Market Muse, Surfer, etc. But we weren't really doing that back then. We were doing it very manually. And yeah, we were then monitoring, and then we were literally just making subtle changes. So, it might be adding a H2 that was missing from, it was on one of the sites in the top 10, and then you were adding it onto your site, and then just making sure the density was about. And that's primarily all we focused on, was getting the words on the page and density initially.
Excellent!
Love that. Okay, so the biggest part of I think that's the challenge in casino niches is also link building, right? Because I even see it like even on some exchanges, it goes no casinos, no crypto, no adult and stuff like that. So like I'm curious on like what are some link building strategies that you were able to prioritize within the casino niche?
Yeah, so there was a few different strategies of this. If you're doing digital PR, you tend to try to create a blog post that would be around something else, and then you would do a digital PR sort of release or send out to journalists, and it would all be about this statistical data that you've pulled, which might be about something else. It could be about, cinema tickets or something like this, like how many people go to the cinema, how many people, it could even be like playing computer games. So you'd go a little bit off topic and mention computer games. and like, you know, what's the average age of people who are playing computer games, etc. Are the male, female, and all these stats you then start to send out to journalists, and within that page you would be internally linking to your existing post or to something that you want to try and rank, and then down the line, once you've gained them links, you could then do a 301 of that blog post to your actual ranking page. So that was like a strategy you would try to do, because obviously it's quite difficult in casino. As soon as anyone hears the word casino, they either run a mile or they add an extra 0 or 2 on the price. That was one strategy we did, and it did work quite well. Another strategy we love to do really is actually just reach out to websites and just say what is the, because I tend to find that most people were willing to link to casino. The problem was always how much it would cost. So it was always just a case of like, how much would it cost to get a link on this page? And then I would then usually what I would do is I would get their price. So let's say, for instance, it was a homepage link and the website was pretty powerful, and they were like, it's $1,500 for the year. I would then say, oh, look, I will give you $1,500, but you have to work with me, and I want 4 links. So then all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's a lot less money for me, and it's now powering up 4 websites, and they're happy because they're getting their $1,500. That's kind of the approach we did. And that worked really. We got some really powerful links off that. Image links. A lot of people were less likely to say no if it was just image links and things like that. And again, we found that they moved the needle. Sometimes we'd even say, look, make it no follow. We didn't mind. And again, that would help anyway. So yeah.
So image links, are you just talking about like having an image that's hyperlinked back to the website? Just like that?
Yeah, and then just a title tag or, you know, an alt text on there, and that would definitely help with rankings as well.
Wow, nice little nugget there. So I'm curious that you also, I believe you mentioned that you do also like guest posts and niche edits, and so this is something where what's your approach on guest posts versus niche edits?
So I'm very much a guest post guy. I like niche edits. I just, obviously from the gambling background, they're very hard to come by. And 9 times out of 10, what happens in the gambling is, you know, people have paid a pretty penny for these, you know, a niche edit is just a guest post, but it's got a bit of agent links. So they've paid a pretty penny for that link at one point. So the website owner is very reluctant to allow you to buy a niche edit on that page, if that makes sense, because obviously they've already had a decent amount of money from another gambling company. So we very much, our approach pretty much the entire time was almost guest posts, image links, if we could get them on like sort of homepage links or like powerful page links. And then that was pretty much it. We tried to stay away from the conventional niche edits. We tend to do just more guest posted or ghost posted.
Got it. So, I mean, how do you, I know you kind of mentioned that you kind of talk to site owners and request maybe 4 links, you know, to kind of scale. I'm curious, like, how else do you manage to scale link building efforts for like multiple casino sites? Like, I mean, where are you still using any link building tools?
Yeah. So we had, I believe our team was about 12 staff. It was primarily Philippines based, and we had a couple in the office. We had 2 guys in the office, and then they were kind of the managers, and we had about the rest in the Philippines, and maybe 1 in South Africa as well. So we primarily use Pitchbox. Absolutely love Pitchbox. Still use Pitchbox very much in Searcheroo and stuff like that. We use it day in, day out. That is what the team are all trained up on.
What is Pitchbox?
Yeah, that was really, really cool tool.
Interesting. So it's an all-in-one link building software tool. I mean, I've actually I probably heard this a few times, but never really kind of like know the ins and outs of it. So what does it actually do? I mean, I was thinking like you still use maybe Scrapebox or anything like that, but this is something totally different, right?
So you can use Scrapebox and feed in the lists, but what I like is you can have like filters in place. So it typically is it has a big database of contacts. So you can shove in the website and it will try and find the email addresses and contacts for them all. And then you can just create an outreach campaign, which will outreach them with follow-up sequences. But what I really liked about it was it allowed you to apply filters. So obviously, if you were quite picky, you could integrate with LRT, Ahrefs, I believe SEMrush, and you can actually apply the filters. So when you chucked, say, a list that you'd scraped from Scrapebox in and applied the filters, it would only show you the ones that are like tick that filter, if that makes sense, rather than you having to manually do that process. And again, it would then only show the ones that had contacts as well. So that was really good. And that was kind of the process we did for scale and link building was more just keep doing it consistent mass. I think we were doing about 25,000 emails.
Wow.
Sends a month, I think it was roughly. We're obviously working through that with only, 10, 15 staff's quite a bit.
Yeah. That's
and then obviously
crazy.
they go back and forth.
So you had actually like 12 to 15 people just working on link building alone, like sending out emails. Wow, that shows how much you value links. Wow, that's crazy. Woo.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the technical part of SEO. Obviously, like when it comes to casino niches, I'm thinking, is it, it's probably the same thing. What are some common technical SEO challenges when it comes to like casino websites? Was there any?
If I'm being honest, in casino, so when we first started, the white label casinos were very, very poor. We spent a lot of time fixing just really basic issues, like, for instance, status codes. So they wouldn't have a 404. So if you did a Screaming Frog audit, everything would come back as status code 200, even though some of the pages did not exist and were 404 and then were linked wrong. So we had to, educate them on status codes and, how to add a status code to a page so it would automatically 404. We had to teach them how to do 301 redirects, utilizing H. Like, just this platform was not great for SEO, but very basic stuff. The main issue we tend to have is, they just, because a lot of APIs and implementation of APIs, there's a hell of a lot of bloat. So the white labels often give you, or the game providers often give you API implementations, which might have like game information on, stuff like that. So if you're utilizing the APIs, you tend to find there's a hell of a lot of bloat. So you have to be rigorous with checking Search Console or Screaming Frog and ensuring that, or server log, and checking what's being crawled and making sure that the right things are being crawled to Google, and if not, applying obviously restrictions and either robots.txt and things like that.
Love that. Okay, so let's go into like so you mentioned a good thing because all these status codes. I'm curious, like how and performance. Like let's go into site structure and performance. Like, so how important is site structure and performance in like the overall casino strategy? Because when I think casinos, I just think games. You log in. So what is the site structure of a casino to make sure that it's SEO friendly?
So typically, this was where I think we started pulling ahead a little bit over our competition. We started making like pre-landing pages, and we tried making them as mobile friendly as possible. Trying to reduce all the various different, like first load, time to first byte, all of that sort of stuff, and really making the page quite lean. And that was kind of what our approach was. Whereas the typical The mad thing with the casino industry is if you load up any of the big boys, the big websites, they don't give a damn about mobile speed performance. We were like the top performing website at the time. When it comes to page speed and all of that, we were scoring close to 100s. And yeah, we focused heavily on that, and whether or not that was probably a contributing factor towards the success that it is. I would say that was probably the case. However, sometimes I think budget is also very successful. That budget is big on some of them big casinos.
Yeah. So I'm curious because, like you said, like for this one website that you mentioned that you was successfully able to rank within about 3 months, for these competitive keywords. Once you got those good rankings, what were you doing to maintain those rankings? Because I'm sure it's competitive in the niche, right? Because I'm pretty sure there's other casinos just trying to like take over. So I'm curious, like, what were you doing? Yeah.
The main issue you have in that niche is negative SEO. So people are starting to really hone in on, building bad links. loads of spammy anchors to your site, people doing like negative attacks, DDoS attacks, people doing, there's like so many different tactics they do, like de-index PBNs or PBNs that they're restricting from crawling, but actually have a link penalty and then linking through to your website, stuff like this. So it's like trying to actively fight against all of this. Like there was a time where we actually GSA. I don't know if you guys still use the tool GSA. Yeah.
GSA,
so there was a time where I was actually having to reach out to Sven, and he was banning people that were negatively attacking our website, because obviously we were like, look, we're gonna sue someone, but we don't want to sue you because we know it's just someone using your tool. I want you to ban that license. You know what I mean? Like. So that was kind of the approach we started doing it, and man, it was like, that was hard. But in terms of like progressive optimization, so we were forever obviously like I mentioned earlier, we were once a month, you know, we were tracking everything. We were tracking the competitors, we were tracking what keywords they were using on the pages, we were checking anchor texts that they were using, links they were building, and we were just continually checking the keywords and, you know, how our website was positioned, and then just continually developing. And, you know, it was just someone's job on the team to, you know, once a week go in, improve the bit of content. It could be literally, you know, tweaking a few H2s, adding an image here, moving an image down, and then just continue to develop like that. And that kind of kept us quite fresh in the algorithm as well, which helped.
Love that. Speaking of algorithms, and guys, I guys in the audience, I know we've been going on here. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the live chat, because I'm coming down to my last few questions here. So be sure to ask them before we end the show here. But I want to go into algorithm updates. You just mentioned algorithm updates. So how do you actually prepare for like these Google algorithm updates, especially with the casino niche? I can see sometimes they can just go ahead and attack, you know, just go after you guys. So I mean, how'd you like combat that?
The reality is our combat strategy was build more. So I think at the time of exiting, there was about 46 websites we had. So we just thought, you know what, we might get hit at some point, and we know we're breaking rules because we're doing so much link building, we're doing so much content. It's like, it is going to come. We'll just keep on building. If we keep on trying to mix up the strategy a little bit each time, then as a rule of thumb, they're not going to get us all. We're never going to internally link them all. That was kind of our approach we took. We would never ever do any updates when an algorithm was rolling out. We would almost cease when it came to SEO. So we'd almost stop the on-page element. We'd still continue link building because it was just like, I almost felt like it was too big of a footprint to stop link building. It would just leave that to continue as normal and like naturally build the links. But when it came to actual on-page elements, we'd almost like hit a bit of a freeze on it. And then every Christmas, you'd always have, or holiday season in the casino niche, you'd always have because we were like a white label casino, obviously everyone goes on holiday. So you'd always have a period where you weren't able to make any dev changes for like up to a month because the devs are away on holiday and they don't want the risk of servers going down or websites going down. So that kind of freed up some time as well for a month.
Love that. And okay, I wanted to go into like some of your favorite tools. I know you mentioned Pitchbox. We mentioned like all this like the scrape box.
I've got a list. I'm ready. I've got a list of this.
Oh yeah, all right. And especially some maybe specifically for like even the casino niche or even for like hard niches. So let's give us your tool stack here.
I would say the top number one tool that I would use in the casino niche or hard niches nowadays is Market Muse. Like that tool is absolutely fantastic for analyzing the SERPs. It's very similar to your likes of sort of Surfer and Page Optimizer Pro, On Page AI. And don't get me wrong, I still use all four of those. However, Market Muse, I just feel like is just better for just coming up with an actual workable template, and it gives you so many more entities, and it sort of creates its own map of what the keyword should have. But other tools often overlooked, and I don't know why, but Search Console and specifically checking crawl stats, very basic one, but I don't know. Honestly, I've had so many conversations with SEOs, and some people are like, where do you see the crawl stats section? I don't know where that is. And it's a bit concerning. But yeah, Search Console, Trello. Now we use Trello a hell of a lot
I love
for
Trello.
processes and team management. If you're using WordPress, we primarily use Rank Math SEO. Absolutely love that tool. I think the guys are great over there. In terms of more technical things, Screaming Frog tends to be my preferred tool. Sitebulb is also pretty good. I have played with Quora and things in the past, but I just feel like it's just a little bit too much. It goes into a bit, off on a tangent. That's just my opinion, though. Then, in terms of link building tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Majestic, and my favorite, still to this day, is LRT, Link
LRT.
Research Tool.
Link research tools. I don't think I heard
Yeah.
that one. Link. Is that the expensive one? I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that is very expensive.
All right. All right.
However, you get what you pay for. That's what I say. So, I honestly like that tool. We use that a lot, and obviously it's known for being like the disavow tool as well. And
Okay.
obviously within gambling, getting negative SEO all the time is what we used to use.
Actually, yeah, I'm curious about that. So, when you were actually getting negative SEO, you were actually doing a lot of disavows. You had to, or it's like it was a common process that you had to do. Interesting.
Yeah, once a month we were always disavowing, always looking at links, always disavowing. I think at one point our file was about 50,000 lines big.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned a bunch of tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush and Majestic. Those are kind of like somewhat similar. I mean, are you using different parts of them, or
I just like, so Ahrefs, I absolutely hate it for the keyword difficulty part, but I quite like it for its sort of its general just layout and just showing me the stats. I can very quickly see if a website's performing well or not. SEMrush we used primarily for the paid ads side. I quite enjoyed their campaign management in the paid ads point of view and keyword research. Majestic I find picks up more domains typically than Ahrefs. It'll pick up different domains, so it's good for catching like an overview. And obviously you've got the trust flow and how close it is to the seed sites, etc. So that's pretty cool, and it shows you like the link map. And then obviously link research tools is just, that's the beast. That is but again, you tie all the data in. So.
Love that. Okay, let's talk about one successful campaign in particular, so that like everyone can kind of like maybe replicate this. Can you share like maybe one case study of like a successful SEO campaign from start to finish in the casino niche, of like how you just went to blow it up?
Well, the easiest one was an exact match domain. We built 35 links in total to it. We typically treated exact match as branded. So if it was like, for instance, I don't know, slotgames.com, you would slot games as one word together would be the brand, but slot space games we would treat as a money. So we were very, very reluctant to build loads of slot space games, but we didn't mind like having it all together. So we built like, I think it was about 30 to 50 links, roughly. And within, it was very quick. I'm pretty sure from like indexing and building those links, we got number one within a month, I think it was roughly. And that was for a keyword that gets about 7,700 searches in the UK per month. So a pretty competitive gambling keyword. At the time, it might get more searches than that now. And that strategy was, again, just guest blogging, just heavy on guest posts.
Nice. So all you needed was like about 35 like solid links, and with a branded domain. And it
got really funny. So I knew quite a few people in the industry, and there was a few who messaged me. There was like rumors that I don't know how this website's ranked, and I'm like, oh, it's funny that website's mine.
Love it. Okay, I mean, and then to simple it down to even more for our audience out there, I mean, if there's some practical takeaways, what would you be your top 3 tips for someone to get like started on their high risk niche?
Top 3 tips: have a big budget, because that budget is going to help tremendously. Like, you'll learn so much. Do paid ads. Again, it seems very mad, but that is what I would be doing. And then really, really hone in on your internal linking strategy. I very much, we didn't really talk about that, but we stayed away from all tools reference internal linking. We did it all manually. So we actually mapped out all of the links in a Google sheet, and then we would manually work out where it's going. And that was primarily because I just did not like the idea of allowing access to a tool which could be hacked down the line. Like, it was very much a no-go. So that was kind of what we did, and I think that's what helped us the most, if I'm being honest, is internal linking strategies, and then going from there. That would be my fundamental thing to do. And then also, don't be scared to join groups and team up with people in the niche, because they might be in the niche, but there's so many sub niches in gambling and casino and stuff like this that you can still help each other and pass, I've just bought a link off this website. Oh, great, passes the details, share details with each other type thing. And that kind of helped propel link building forward as well.
Got it. I love that. I didn't see any questions come in live in the audience, but I do want to actually kind of expand a little bit on internal linking, because I actually shared a video in the very beginning of how important it was, and you're talking about it now. If you can quickly, before we go, like, kind of share, like, how is your process of internal link building? What are you looking for when you actually internal linking board? Like, are you scraping your own? Do you list out all your sites and what is content? I mean, like, what's your mind thinking? Like, what is your process of actually internal linking?
Yeah. So, again, really simple. And I tend to butter this home a bit more, but it's really simple process. Is we'd go, right, this page, I want to rank for this set of keywords and nothing else. So we would then be building internal links to that page for only those keywords. We would then make sure other pages don't have that same set of keywords at any point internally linking to them, just because it's then causing confusion to the crawler. When it's saying, say, for instance, slot games ranking to this page and to this page, well, that would confuse a human being, never mind an algorithm. Like, why is it 2 pages? And that was kind of what we did, and did really well, was just hammer it home that, this page is all about this subject, this page is all about this subject. And I think sometimes a lot of these AI tools just overlook that and just internally link with a bunch of words that just should not be internally linked with.
Love that. So it's like one internal link. So one internal link should go to only one focus page, right? So that link should only.
So it might be a range of different keywords, but that is the focus group of that page, if that makes sense. So then, exactly.
So you have a cluster of internal links going to one page. So it's kind of like you have Got it. Love that. That deserves a double bomb right there. Okay, we are at time. I want to ask my last question that I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. If someone wants to get into the SEO game and become an SEO professional themselves, what would your advice be to them?
Start with Corey's course. Join Corey's group. Honestly, fantastic. If I'm being honest, you won't need that big a budget if you learn his way of doing it. And if I'm being 100% honest, I probably learned SEO in a very butchered way. At least his is very structured in approach and things like this, and it's systematic. So I would probably say start there. He's a top, I know him personally, he's a top guy. If you are very much new and don't have any budget, I'm honestly, speak to him and say, Karl referred you, probably give you a free license.
Ooh, there you go. You guys heard it here first. use name drop Karl and hit up Corey, and you get that course. All right, brother. Can you hold on for one quick second while I sign off here? Hold on for one quick second. All right.